Welcome back, everybody, and today we're making a wooden glide bait. Let's get started. Go! Before we get to cutting out these fins here, I'm going to start carving out the slots that they're going to go into. I want to make sure that I do this before I sand it and really finish off the shape of the lure, just that way I don't take off too much material. So I don't have one of those flat bits for the Dremel to be able to make the spines and the fins. So I'm just going to be trying to use this nail here and see if I can get the stripes on it. Quite honestly, did not think that would work, but it actually worked pretty well. Made some stripes. It's not the cleanest lines, but once I have some paint over that, it should look pretty good. I still have to sand them off and clean them up a little bit in between those different spines that I did there, but there you go. I guess if you don't have one of those flat Dremel ends, you can try to use a screw. Here's the eye sockets. Now I'm going to start carving the gills. So that's what the gills are looking like right now. All those little black spots are just some burn marks from the Dremel bit. I have to change it out. It's getting a little old, but you won't be able to see that once we paint over it and everything, but it's looking pretty good, and the fins are looking pretty neat as well. I was originally going to just paint the gill plates like I usually do, but I wanted to carve these ones so that way I could add pectoral fins on the side that come off of the lure. I've seen a bunch of Marlin Bates videos and the different lures that he's made, and he likes to do these fins on the side that come off of the lure. He kind of installs them behind and a little bit underneath those gill plates, and it has a really cool realistic look to it. So I'm going to give that a shot today, and if you guys want to see Marlin Bates' channel and the lures that he makes, he does some amazing stuff, so I'll add the link to his YouTube video and a channel down in the description below. First, I have to cut out the fins. So here are the two pectoral fins that are going to be on the side of this lure, and I made these the exact same way that I did with the tail fin and the other two fins as well. So not a super complicated process, just takes a little bit of time. So now I'm going to make a divot there for where this is going to slide into. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to add this before I paint or wait till I'm done painting to add them. But yeah, that's the next step. So that's what that one side is looking like, but as you can see, it's really protruding. So I'm going to go over to the space heater that I have heating up the shop and kind of hold it over there a little bit with some of these pliers. And then I'm just going to grab the end once it gets a little bit warmer and then kind of bend it over to try to get it to fold more towards the body and look a little more natural than leaning out that far. I'm not sure where the lead should be placed, so I'm going to be using the hot glue gun method to test it. The hot glue gun method allows you to use hot glue to attach a piece of lead to where your guess is for where it should be. It allows you to test how much lead you want to use and also where you want to put it without actually having to drill into the lure. I'm also going to be putting on the hooks that I'll end up putting on once this lure is all done. I figured that wasn't enough, but I thought I'd give it a try. I'm going to try to get this lure to sit perfectly in the middle of the water column and stay suspended. Maybe have a slow rise or slow sink, but I'm going to try to get that so that way it's completely steady in the middle. So unfortunately, the water is actually so cold, and so is the shop in general, so I'm not going to be able to use the hot glue gun method just because the hot glue doesn't stay hot long enough once it's in the water. This one stayed on pretty well, but I can't get it to work for any other pieces. So I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is adding as much lead as I think, and then drilling it out if it's too much, or adding more if it's too little. I added 2 holes at the bottom here, so now we'll test this out. I drilled a little bit out of the front end, so we'll see here. Alright, still have to take out more. There we go. Has a really slow rise, but stays suspended in that middle water column. And it stays suspended really evenly, not tilted forward or backward. So that should work really good. And it will probably stay completely suspended by the time I add clear coat and paint. So that should end up working really good. I taped off the fins so that way I can paint them later, and the wood's all sealed. So now we're going to start with the base coat of white. So for this paint scheme, I'm going to be kind of going for a shad, but also like any other bait fish, there's some pretty shiny colors and some pretty cool undercoats with that as well. So I'm going to be using some of these here, this purple, some wicked metallic fastback green, and then also some yellow. So those will be the primary base coats, and the next step on top of the white base coat is to add some gray, and this will basically just bring out a little bit more of the detail with the carved gills, and then also allow these other colors and also the scales and other detail we're going to add to be much more easier to see. Now I'm going to use some of this mesh here. This is from an avocado bag from the store, and some of this yellow that I have to make some splotches across the middle of the lure just below where we add that purple line. Now I'm going to add some scales, and for the scales I'm going to be using this mesh here, and this is from a water bottle holder on the side of a backpack. There's all different kinds of supplies that you can find just laying around the house to use for scale patterns and for lures. The color that I'm going to be using is some of the silver here, some wicked metallic silver, a really good color, and I think it will work pretty well with this paint scheme. Now some pearl black to the back of the lure. Now some shad dots. Now some color for the gills. So I had these fins covered up throughout the painting process just because I didn't want all the color to get on them. But I think I'm going to add some of this pearlized black that I use for the top here and also for the eye sockets. I'm going to use that same color, just kind of water it down a little bit and then apply some onto the fins and then kind of brush it off so that way they're still fairly translucent and you still have a color on it covering up the white and the clear that they are right now. So I think they'll look pretty good. For clear coating this lure, I'm going to be doing it in 2 separate pieces, and then once it's all set, I'm going to add the joints in the middle just to make sure I have a clean connection between those two. I'm going to be using my UV resin in the light box here. So I already added the pectoral fins, and those are setting right now. And then I'll take that back out, add the eyes, sign it, and then clear coat the 2 solid pieces, and then put them in there to set. But that's what it's looking like. Now that the clear coat's on and everything's put together, I want to see if there's a change in how it sinks. I had a bigger split ring to the front just because it floats a little quicker than I would like, and also the tail goes down a little quicker than the head, so hopefully that'll make a difference. There we go. Definitely a slower rise. That's really good. And it's definitely more even as well, so looking pretty good. Usually when I fish with my homemade lures, I have a snap at the front to kind of change out which lure I'm using depending on the conditions and also if I'm testing a bunch out. So this should be pretty good, and it should even out even more just because it is a little bit tail heavy, but that snap at the front should help. So there's the finished up wooden glide bait. I think it turned out pretty neat, and I'm definitely glad that I added those side pectoral fins because that was a pretty cool addition. I've never done that before this lure, so I definitely see myself doing that more in the future. We also recently got snow, so I won't be able to test out this lure in today's video, but I plan on definitely testing this out and also the offset spinnerbait that we made a couple videos ago in future videos, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But that is all I have for this week's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. I also thought it'd be cool to add my finished up skateboard. The regular deck of this skateboard got screwed up, so I decided to repaint it. So I decided to add some cool different details to it and also clear coated it a bunch, add some of my own grip tape, and I think it turned out pretty neat.